Sometimes people ask, why are pirates always out fighting around Jumptown? Why are they always shooting down other players' ships? I mean, they've got missions, you know. Why don't they just go and do the pirate missions? Well, really, we kind of don't. So, when you're watching anything to do with Star Citizen, especially the official broadcasts, you'll often hear the term emergent gameplay. We love to see the emergent gameplay, and currently the form that piracy has taken is exactly that. It's emergent gameplay. If you think about the missions, well, I'm showing a mission that, surprise, surprise, is broken. And, you know, it's no big deal. We're talking about a game in pre-alpha, right? Not a full-featured game, so bugs are to be expected. You know, they are to be expected, reported, that sort of thing. That's why, that's why we're playing the game. But also because we're exploring what's possible within the game. But, some people, I don't know, they kind of tend to view Star Citizen as, I don't want to say a complete product, but as a game that is just missing features, and that those features are going to be slowly brought online. And so they're trying to play Star Citizen as if it were a live game, as if there was persistence, as if there was consequences. But the truth is that currently in Star Citizen there is no persistence and there are no consequences. You know that you're going to get a reset at the end of this month, and you're just going to get everything back. So it doesn't really matter what happens. You're going to get all your money back, and then you're going to get all your ships that may be bugged or whatever, hopefully are going to be working at the beginning of the new patch, though we know that generally that's not the case. And life will continue on like this for quite some time. The reason why pirates do a lot of these things is to explore what's possible within the game, what seems to work and what doesn't seem to work. But once you get to a point where we're in a full-featured game and there are consequences, then you're going to see them applying that knowledge. And so, like, the random acts of, mischief around the universe are going to largely disappear. And it's going to move more towards, I would say, almost a more sensible form of piracy. And that's going to be when all of a sudden, oh shit, if I lose my ship, I might be waiting for it for quite some time, so I better be careful, I better be smart. If I want to make money, what's the best way to go about it while presenting the least amount of risk to myself? What's the most profitable path forward? And a lot of people tend to forget that. They think of they try to compare piracy and interdicting ships as like U-boat warfare of World War II, where U-boats were trying to attack convoys, and they say, oh, that's the example, that's exactly how it's going to be. And it's like, no, that is not in any way, shape, or form how it's going to be. Because you have to understand that in warfare you have two sides that are basically compelled to fight each other, whereas in piracy you're not compelled to go after the other guy. You seek opportunities. You become an opportunistic predator. You're not compelled to continuously attack your enemy, regardless if they're alone or if they're in a convoy. You don't have a choice. You have to stop the flow of supplies, right? Whereas as a pirate, you're just going out looking for profit. You're going out looking for what's out there. So if someone says, hey, we're going to arrange all our haulers in a convoy, we're going to have a hammerhead traveling with us, maybe a few fighters, and we should be fine. A pirate might look at that convoy and just say, it's not worth my time. Whereas the single pilot trying to fly a Caterpillar or a Freelancer or a Starfarer or whatever through a system with a very valuable cargo, thinking, oh well, what could possibly go wrong? Chances are they're probably going to find out. If you think about it from a pirate's point of view, once we're in a universe like that with consequences, the simple act of taking down, we'll call it a Caterpillar. The simple act of taking down a Caterpillar and stealing its cargo is actually not all that simple. There's a lot of things to consider. Is this route highly traveled? Am I likely to be spotted doing this? How can I shut this ship down reliably? And then how do I commandeer the ship? How do I either haul it away with towing ships, or how do I, disassemble it on site so that I can take its cargo and its components and everything and make the most amount of profit out of that? I'm going to have to get together. I'm going to have to get a team of people. I'm going to have to get a herald that is going to be able to jam distress transmissions. I'm going to have to get a ship that does interdiction, which is still a big question mark that we don't really have answered at this point. I'm going to need that. I'm going to need something that can haul away the cargo. I'm going to need something that either can tow something away to be salvaged or something that can salvage things on site. I'm going to need multiple people. I'm going to need to get together with a gang, and I'm going to have to coordinate this. This isn't something that I can just cook up in 2 minutes all by myself and go off and do by myself. Realistically, a real productive pirate operation is something that's going to take a lot of time and a lot of organization to get together. And that in and of itself kind of says that it's not going to be something that happens every day. It's going to be something that's more of a team effort and less oriented towards the solo player. The piracy that you see in the game today is the product of missing or broken game systems. And I don't want to say that like in an accusatorial kind of way, it's all CIG's fault because they're not getting things done. I'd never watch any video and look at that CIG produces and look at these guys and say, wow, these guys are lazy and they're really taking their time. I've watched enough of that content to kind of say, hey, these guys are obviously working very hard, though I disagree with certain choices and certain decisions that are made along the way. I never look at them and think that they're lazy or that they're just dragging their feet. There's a lot of things that have to be brought together in order to make all those systems work. Just the things that I just listed off to you. I mean, salvage doesn't exist in the game. Interdiction really doesn't exist in the game, at least not in a form that players can control. And we don't even really know the full extent of how that's going to work. There's a lot of pieces that need to be brought together in order to make that work. What you see now is just the product of idle hands and nothing better to do than to just kind of group up and take things over and try to make money where you can, because any other way just currently isn't available. The more organized ways, the more practical ways of doing things just aren't there. And a lot of the concerns that go along with it, I lose my herald, so what? I wait 5 minutes, I get another herald, boom, I'm back in the game again doing the same old thing. It doesn't matter. And that's why, all this exists. In the future, I think that it is going to come down to players are going to, like pirates are going to form up into gangs. They're going to assign different roles to different people. People with a herald are going to be more e-warfare based. Other people with caterpillars are going to be haulers. There are going to be people with, SRVs or people with vultures who come in to scrap the ship. There's going to be FPS oriented players who are going to go in and secure the vessel once it's been stopped in space. All these things are going to come together and make those operations a lot of fun, but also at the same time fairly rare in the day in and day out of the non-pirate player, because all that organization, all that work that needs to be done on the back end, which can be very fun and very immersive, is going to take so much time that when you're just hauling cargo back and forth, chances of you running into this, especially if you're flying with a group of friends so you're protected and they're therefore a less inviting target, is probably not something that you're going to run into a whole heck of a lot. a lot of these people that you see on the forums who are just hollering and crying about how out of control PvP is in the game and how it's, you know, it's just a nightmare and this is the way it's always going to be. I mean, they have no imagination. They can't really look into the future and say, okay, this is how it is now, but this is only the way it is because of these certain factors. Once these are removed or these things are changed, this is how, the form that it's going to take. They can't look into the future and see that and say, okay, this is the path that it's actually going to go along. So there's no real reason to cry on the forums or on Spectrum, because this is something that's going to right itself in time anyways. Would I love for all these systems to be in game right now? Sure, who wouldn't? But the fact of the matter is they're not. And looking at the roadmap, those certain foundational elements that will lead to those systems are coming into place certainly over the next year. Those core elements themselves are not there yet and are probably not going to be there for a while. When I see somebody on Spectrum and they're just kind of going like, pirates are ruining the game, oh my god, Jumptown, you know, and they're just whining about it, I can't respect that opinion. I can never respect that opinion. But if someone gets together with a whole bunch of like non-pirate players and they're like, hey, let's go take over Jumptown and then let's make a bunch of money, I respect that. I respect people who take that kind of action and who, you know, basically understand the way the game is going to be and the idea of teamwork and that sort of thing. You know, people who are sitting there and just kind of flipping out over nothing because really no one's losing anything. To me, it's so ridiculous. It's such a ridiculous stance to take. I mean, do you really think that Star Citizen is going to turn into like a consequence-free environment where every day is sunshine and rainbows? That's going to be the most boring game ever. No, it's going to be an exciting universe. There's going to be dangers and there's going to be all kinds of cool shit happening around every corner. And there's going to be a heck of a foundation laid with this game for some really immersive team-based gameplay. But the idea that, you know, you bought a freelancer and you should just be able to fly it everywhere solo and there should never be consequences any day of the week. No. Maybe in the more secure systems, maybe at the safer landing zones where the profit margins aren't that high, you can get that kind of experience. But out in the richer parts of the universe where you can make a lot more money, which generally tend to be the more dangerous parts of space, you're going to have to work with other people. You're going to have to get together and form teams, and you're going to have to do these things. And when you see these pirate players coming in and taking over Jumptown, or when you see these non-pirate players coming in and taking over Jumptown, these are people who get it. These are people who understand the shape that the game is going to take. And they're the ones who are going to be best prepared once the game finally does launches. When the game finally does launch. Someday. Anyways, that's the show for today. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and thanks for watching.
Thank you for watching. So if you want to keep up with the latest and greatest in Star Citizen and Squadron 42's development, please follow us on our social media channels. See you soon.